It was about 14 years ago in my sixth grade science class where I was asked the most mind-boggling question of my life. Although at the time I was only about 9 or 10 years old, so what possible question could be the most mind-boggling question of my life? I was very young at the time. It was in this class, however, that the young me that I was stunned by a classmate's question. She asked me for the first time, if I could be a tree, what part of the tree would I be? Being the person I was at the time, I replied, why would I want to be a tree? For dogs to mark their territory on me or for cats to rent their branches free of charge? However, today, with our theme, frozen roots, flourishing branches, the question has come back to me with new meaning. So for the time that we share today, I want you to think with me. What and where do I fit in the Alpha tree? To answer that, we must start where all life starts, the roots. Then we can tend to the branches, which will help us admire the crown. Now let me be clear from the very beginning. Frozen roots do not mean dead roots. They do not mean stagnant, outdated, or immovable in spirit. Frozen roots mean preserved. They mean protected. They mean anchored so deeply in principle that no storm, no trend, and no pressure can uproot them. Roots are the unseen strength of a tree. They don't shine, they don't get applause, but without them, nothing above ground survives. Alpha Phi Alpha was founded in 1906. During one of the most oppressive and violent periods of black people in this country. Our founders chose purpose over comfort, excellence over ease. This black and old gold we wear today was not easy to earn, brothers, and it is not easy to maintain. When we talk about roots, we are talking about brothers who fought for civil rights, brothers who broke professional barriers, businesses, shaped cultures, and changed lives. Names like Andrew Young, Whitney Young, Robert Smith, Duke Ellington. Do y'all not know who or where we have came from? Our roots run deeper than the popularity, deeper than social media clout, deeper than any single chapter in this room. I remember growing up in the Bahamas, and on my way to school, there was always a huge bump in the road just before I would turn into my schoolyard. For years, I wondered why the government would never fix this obstruction. Until one day, as I was walking home from school, I inquired to the men that were working on the road nearby, why is it that you all never fix this bump in the road? Clearly, it is an obstruction. And then one of them blurted out to me, because we can't. Now, of course, I stood there gobsmacked because what do you mean you cannot fix a bump in the road? Do you lack the tools, the skill, or the time? It's very simple, is it not? Until they pointed out to me that this was not a regular bump. This was a root. And we cannot cut these types of root. That oak tree root survived hurricanes, road construction, and decades of change. Why? Because the roots were too strong to cut. That is Alpha Phi Alpha. Learn our history. Speak our founders' names. Protect the standard that built this fraternity. Because when roots are severed, growth stops. Now let us talk about the branches. An oak branch takes about 15 years or so to reach full strength. Before it can hold weight, before it can bear leaves, it must grow, slowly, intentionally. Those earliest stages, that's us, brothers. Neophytes, young brothers, it's us. And let me be clear, because the older brothers may get it confused. Tenure does not equal impact. We all know the brother who pledged decades ago who believes that his past efforts in the chapter excuses present stagnation. We also know the brother that hangs around the chapter but contributes nothing to its progress. That mindset is what kills growth. If you've ever seen a tree with roots but no trunk or branches, you know what it is: a dead tree. Alpha cannot survive on history alone. Alpha looked much different than it did now in 1906. It operated differently in 2006. So imagine, brothers, the advancement needed in 2026. Mentor, don't micromanage. Lead, do not linger. And add value where you stand. Our fraternity needs sculptors, not spectators. A sculptor doesn't create art, you know. Long before the mallet strikes the chisel to the clay, the masterpiece is already there. The sculptor simply removes what doesn't belong. Become a fraternal sculptor. Peel back the veil of clay that is hiding our marvelous future. Is hazing, slandering, and tarnishing of the brand utterly worth the ramifications that will follow? Do not be so egocentric that you put your pride before our great fraternity. We cannot afford ego over excellence, comfort over commitment, and we cannot afford to sacrifice what generations before us have worked tirelessly for. I implore you, for all that is right and holy in the Son, do not allow this historic organization to crash and burn simply because you are a crash out. Langston Hughes words it like this: we must hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is like a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. If you, like me, paid attention to even 7 minutes in science class, you learned that the top of a tree is called a crown. Here lies the fluorescent foliage, the fascinating festal, the foremost formidable flamboyance that ancient Chinese would call the feng shui. This is the fruitful part of the tree, where the splendor of its work is displayed. Notice, when a seed is planted, it's an act of faith. What do? You water it, you protect it, you tend to it. Not because you see the results immediately, but because you believe in what it will become. Alpha Phi Alpha was planted on December 4th, 1906. It has been growing for over a century because brothers before us did their part. Now it is our turn. Protect what works, prune what poisons. Prepare this fraternity for brothers we may never meet, but who will inherit what we leave behind. Brothers, I told you about an oak tree earlier. Do you know that oak tree is still standing? Not because storms stop coming, but because roots refuse to move. And understand this: we are that storm-tested generation. We inherited a name paid for in sacrifice, and we will be remembered not for what we inherited, but for what we protected. Every brother in this room is part of the Alpha tree. Some of us are roots, grounded in principle. Some of us are branches, still growing into our strength. But every single one of us is responsible for the ground. Now, let me make this plain, because inspiration without instruction fades. If you are a new or young brother, raise your hand for me. If you are a neophyte, raise your hand. Thank you. Your responsibility is simple. Learn before you lead. Learn the history. Learn the standards. Learn why Alpha is Alpha. So when it's your turn to lead, you don't dilute what you inherited. If you're an upperclassman, raise your hand for me. Thank you. Upperclassmen, your responsibility is always heavier. You don't get to complain about the future if you choose not to mentor it. Pull one brother closer. Correct one behavior. Raise the standard. And if you see something weakening this tree, you do not walk past it. You do not whisper about it. You address it with courage and love. Before we leave this retreat, I want you to pledge to do something for me. Commit to these three things. Learn one piece of Alpha history you did not know. Add measurable value to your chapter this semester. And lastly, commit to protecting the name of Alpha Phi Alpha. If you commit to those three things, please stand. That is, learning one piece of Alpha history, adding measurable value to your chapter this year, and protecting the name. Give a round of applause for yourselves already. Thank you, brothers. You may be seated. That action, that is not extra. That is not optional. That is the price of stewardship. So, I said all that to ask you plainly. When the winds come, and they will, where will you stand? Will you be like that oak tree who will surpass many hurricanes, many changes in decades? Will you be the root that holds fast, the branch that carries the weight? Or will you be the brother who watched the tree weaken and did nothing? Alpha does not need more spectators. We have enough. Alpha needs stewards, men willing to guard the legacy, challenge complacency, and leave this fraternity stronger than they found it. I said it before. Frozen roots do not mean stagnant roots. They mean unshakable. Flourishing branches do not grow by accident. They grow because someone was intentional. So let it be said that this generation chose purpose over ego, accountability over comfort, and legacy over convenience. I'm like a Baptist preacher, so for the last time, brothers, hold the roots, strengthen the branches, because when history looks back on us, let it say this: they didn't just protect the tree, they became the reason it will never fall. Thank you.